Welcome back to Tansy Academy. In this video, we'll be looking at subqueries from SQL. So what is a subquery? A subquery, also sometimes called as nested query, is a query within another query. Okay, so now we are talking about two queries. So the topmost query, you can call it as a parent query or a query at hierarchy level 1, and there is another query as a child query at a hierarchy level 2. So these two queries will be used to perform operations that would be complex in a single query. The subquery is executed first, the query at the level 2 will be executed first, and its results is used by the outer query or the query at the level 1 to produce the final result. Why are we going to use subqueries? Most important is to break down complex queries into smaller, to retrieve data that depends on the result set of another query, or to compare results between tables or different conditions in the same table. And there are three types of subqueries: single row subquery, multiple row subquery, and correlated subquery. In a single row subquery, the query at level 2 or the child query or subquery returns a single value, and this subquery used in these type of subqueries are used in the combination of these operators. We'll see an example on this. Multiple row subquery is where the subquery or the child query or the query at level 2 returns multiple rows, multiple values. Correlated subquery is like you will be using a column from the parent query or the query outer query into the subquery query at the level 2. Here you don't use columns from parent table into child table, parent query into the child subquery, but in correlated subquery you will be comparing column between two queries at two different levels. So that is called correlated subquery. As an example, let's say I want to find employees who have salary greater than average salary of the company. So for this, what I need to do is, first of all, I need to find out the average salary of the company. So I get the average salary of the company by running this subquery, the query at the second level. Select average salary from org employee. The output for this query is replaced by this. It will be a replacement and placed within this parenthesis. Once this result is out, the result of this is placed in this parenthesis. Now this query will be executed, and when it says where salary greater than, it won't see this query, it will see the output of this, and accordingly it will bring down the employees whose salary is greater than the average salary of the entire company. And remember, I am not comparing columns between parent query and subquery here. These columns and tables will be different, and this will be different. They can also be on the same table, but no relation between columns across these queries here. Okay. And one important thing to notice as a beginner, whenever you are using such operators in combination with subquery, make sure your subquery returns only one value. If you are saying something like greater than, and then this subquery select salary from employee, it will return multiple salaries from employee table. So when you use an operator like this and you get multiple rows, then you get error. So whenever, remember, if you are using greater than, less than, or equal to, make sure the subquery returns only a single value. Okay, right. So now let's move to example on multiple row subquery. Find employees whose department is in the list of specific department. Let's say I have very huge company, and then my departments are spread across different cities, but I want to pull up a list of employees who work for the departments located in New York. So what I do, I write a subquery, select department from departments where location equal to New York. So this might come with 1 row or 2 rows or 10 rows. It's okay. This is multi-row subquery. And this is like a list. It's not a single value. This is like a list, and this list is fetched to perform the outer query. Select employee information from employees where department in. Here I'm not saying department greater, department equal. You can't say. Whenever you get a multiple result set, you have to say something like in, not in, any, exist, all. Okay, you can use only these operators. Yeah, I hope this is clear. Here I'm getting multiple rows, and then that's why I'm using in. So finally I'll get employees whose department belongs to the list of departments from New York. The subquery returns a list of departments in New York location. The outer query retrieves employees who belong to any departments from the subqueries result. Okay. And then finally, correlated subquery. Here, find employees who have a salary greater than the average salary in their respective department. I am not saying average salary of the entire company. So that means, let's say you have 4 rows: employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, employee 4, or employee 5. And employee 1 belongs to department 1, employee 2 belongs to department 2, right? So when I am trying to bring the employees, I need to compare whether his salary is greater than average salary of his own department, right? So that's why I need to, okay, for the first row, employee 1, what is the department ID? I need to pick the department ID and pass it into the subquery to calculate the average salary of his department. If I am bringing, trying to solve the row number 4 for this outer query, first of all, I need to know his department, his or her department on row 4, and calculate the average salary in the subquery for that department only. So that's why, I say, see here, aliasing is very important so that there is no confusion. Here E2 is my subquery. I am saying E2.department ID for this query equal to E.department ID. E.department ID is coming from the outer query, right? So this is what called correlated subqueries. The subquery is correlated because it references the department from the outer query. The subquery computes the average salary for each department, and the outer query compares individual salaries to the department's average salary. Use cases: comparing data in the outer query with grouped or aggregate data in the subquery. So, and another way people also use subquery is, see, we have select and then column names from some table, so you get these columns. But I can generate a column on the fly. This doesn't exist in the table, but I can come up with a new columns using subquery technique. Here what I'm doing, client ID, first name, last name, I am using a subquery as a column name. So I'm trying to sum up all the order amount for a given client, and then this is how I say, okay, this is a client ID 1, his first name, last name, his total order amount, his lifetime order amount with our company. So you can also use subqueries in the select statement. It's always advisable to alias that column, so because it's an unknown new column, so sometimes you get question marks if you don't do that. Okay, and then you can also use subquery in update or a delete also, similar to you have used in a select statement. Thanks a lot.